In this video, we will manage the UV editing and the shading of our model. So the first thing we'll need to do is the UV editing to can give the informations of the mapping of the geometry we have and how the 3D space will become a 2D space. So for this case, it will be pretty simple as we have a very good reference image from side view. Okay, so this image here, we will use it to create the texturing of our model. And what we will simply do is project the geometry of the model on the side view, and like this it will match perfectly the image. But first of all, let's go into texture UV editing here for doing that. So here you have to be in edit mode and in orthographic view with 5. With N here, I will just enable again the screencast keys. Yes. And going in side view here. And what we will just do, we will just select here everything, all the geometry of the fish in right orthographic view. So with 3 and 5. And instead of using, as if you know a little UV editing, instead of using unwrap and put seams everywhere to unwrap the model, we will just project from view, and it will be simple like that. So I will just project from view just like this. As you can see, it will match exactly the geometry that we have and the space that we have here. Okay, so we have exactly the same thing now into the 2D space. So what we have into the 2D space, we have something that with 2 vertices everywhere. We have the one in front and the one behind, exactly as the 3D model here. What we would like to do now is to match this with the image texture. So now just go there and let's put back our sea-base image, and you can see that now it will distort the result of our projection, because here we have an image that is not square. If it's a square, it will not deform, but as it's not the same ratio here, it will just kill the nice projection we had. So just what you have to do is make S, select everything here, and with SY, you will try to match everything with global S. And just by moving the vertices here, you will try to match as much as possible the result that you have. Okay, just remember that in 2D space, you don't have any Z angle, it's only X and Y. Okay, so X and Y like that. So like this, if you want to make SY, it will make this. Don't try to make SZ, it doesn't work. There is no Z axis into the 2D space. Then we did match almost everything, maybe a little SZ like that to really match the geometry. Then be careful of the tail, seems good here, maybe a little SX as well, very little, not a lot. And a GY, very. So yeah, this part is very important because we really want to match the texture behind. So if there is, for example, here a space that will be without pixels, it will not work for what we want. So what we want is really to put all the vertices inside the pixels. But only for the body part. For the rest, for the thin part here, we will not manage it like that. We will use the transparency after. But for all the rest, yeah, it's important. So you can select with Alt left click. We have the same functions more or less. You can select with Alt left click to have a full loop, and with SY just manage it like that. Okay, and it works more or less exactly the same than the 3D space with the same shortcuts. Here with SY again. So this I really don't want to be inside. Yeah, you see, I really don't want to be inside the here I really have to be inside the pixel. Okay, good. And yeah, let's make it like this everywhere. It seems here it's good. Here we have something. We can use to the proportional editing, and just by selecting just a vertex, just like that, you can move it, and with the influence of the tool, you can manage it as you want. Okay, so this space here has to be inside. This it will be better. The same for the mouse here. I take just the corner, and by moving, you can manage it, let's say, in more organic way. Okay, and yeah, on top here it needs to be set up well. Here it's the same, more or less, and just like that you will have, yeah, something inside the pixels for the body. And for the scene part, over there we just keep it like that, because we cannot model anyway all of these little details if you want to make it low poly. So just this one, yeah, this one has to be inside, like, and now we are good. So try to not move too much what you have, as we did follow for the modeling, the reference image. So try to not move too much, okay? But it should be like that in the end. So you have a good UV mapping that we can use for our shading after. So this is the first step. UV mapping is done now. We can go into the texture paint. So into the texture paint, not the texture paint, shading, sorry. So now we are into the shading mode. We will create just a new material. This material will be sea base. Okay. And what we need, we have, as you can see, into the principal shader, we have a lot of slots that can be used to give some information. So what we will use into this shader is the base color here. So it will be the base color of the object. Here we have the metallic option to give some metallic reflex for all the scales. It would be good to add this. Some specular too, it's kind of reflect but not metallic way. And the roughness will be important to manage too, because we really want something shiny as much as possible. And here we will manage to the normal informations to give, to use the texture and transform it to normal map to can make something that will fake a little the details of all the scales, the little scales and the detail of the fish. So to do that, we will just need our texture, okay? So the first thing that we will do here is find our texture, and just by click and drag the little icon here, I will have now this texture available. When you manage the nodes here, I really recommend you to use into the preferences, to use the Node Wrangler add-on. It's really something important, so just enable this. It will help you to manage the node. Just for this thing that I will show you, it's already very important. It has a lot of functions, but really the best is Control-Shift-Click on the node, and you see directly what's happening there. Control-Shift-Click on the node, you see directly what's happening there. And yeah, it helps a lot to manage, to see what this node does, and again the next after. So we will add another. We'll just click and drag the color here, and yeah, as you can see now, we have our texture into the object, and it works pretty well. You see, even if it's projected view, maybe on top we have little artifacts there, but really from side view, and even it's really good already for low poly. But the first thing we will have to manage is the transparency here of the fine part, okay? So what we will do, you can see that it's black by default here. What we will do, we will add another shader for that. The shader will be the transparent, no, the transparent one, okay? We will put it there. And you can see that you have two slots that goes from the sea base PNG here The first one is the color informations, and if you Control Shift click another time, you will go to the second one, that is the alpha informations, and will give you a white information for the pixels and a black information for the transparency here. And that's what we will use to mix our transparent and our principled shader. So we'll go to mix a shader. There's two shaders like that, okay? And to see the transparency of our model, you just have to go there into the options. By default, it's not enabled into Blender for Eevee, and you have to enable it. So let's just go here to Alpha Blend or Alpha Clip. Usually I prefer Alpha Clip for this task, okay? And we go for Alpha Clip here. So here it's non-transparent, here it's transparent, as you can see. And I will use this information of black and white to manage the slider over there. So I just click and drag there, and with Control Shift click here, I can see now that my fish is totally like I want. Okay, I have the thin parts that are transparent around. So perfect. We have already something interesting. Here, yeah, I will put. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry when I change. When I change here the interface, it doesn't follow with the screencast keys. So I enable it again, and like this, you will have here the shortcuts that I use. Okay, so we have a first basic shader, but we will make a little better. The second thing that we will do is create a normal map. So we have two ways, not really, yeah, a normal map, let's say. We have two ways of using the normals here. We could use the information that goes from CBase here, okay, the color information, transform it with a here converter color ramp, and make it black and white, just like that, to give some values that we will use into a vector node that the name is bump, and it will create here, if you put it into the height here, you will create a kind of normal informations that you will just plug it here, and it will give this kind of crazy thing. Maybe it will need less strength anyway, but I don't feel that it's really the best way to put some details. You see, it's really pixelate. You have a lot of little noise, and so I don't really like it over there. What I prefer to do is to convert the image that we have directly into normal map, a real normal map. So what we will do for that, I remove these two nodes because it will not be useful. What we will do for that, we will go on internet and we will use a special website that is really handy to do that. We have here, the website is smartpage.net smart normal, okay? So you load the image you have here, it's the CBase. I did it already, as you can see. And here, it will give you directly a nice normal map. You have some tweakings here. You can manage the BS to increase the intensity of the normal map more or less. Okay, and you can manage to, so the invert R and the invert G will give you, yeah, so if I invert G, for example, you can see that it will invert the normal map. It's not really what we want. Same with the invert R. Sometimes it works, sometimes not, but here, for that, we will keep it like that. We will just here enable the blur to remove a little the noise we have behind, but it's a little too much by default. Maybe I will decrease it to 1 something. Yeah, like this it will be good. So without the blur, with the blur, okay? We don't want all this extra noise that we have a little everywhere. So with blur, it helps to give only less fine details. And yeah, we have just with that something that is already usable. Okay, then when you did finish the tweaks of that, you make a save and you save. You have a new here. Okay, so I will just open it into a new window, or yeah, open it in. I don't know why it doesn't work to this window. So I open the image into a new window here, and this image I can finally save it. Okay, then I did it already, so it's CBase normal, but you can use the name that you want and save it into the same folder like that. Into Blender now. let's come back to Blender, we can import our image. So what I will do, I will just open this image here and going to C-Base normal and open it. You can see here the little image just like that, okay, with the thumbnails. And I can open the image just like so. When I have it into my interface, I just have to click and drag. So it's a way to open images in Blender. You can use this interface too. You can add a node here, input. You can add a node, texture, no image, or is it? It has to be in input, no, in texture. Okay, image texture, and you will just create a new node and open it from here. It works too. Whatever, use the one that seems the best for you. So what we have here, it's there's informations, okay? And we would like to plug it into normals, but if we plug it into normals directly, it doesn't work at all. So what I will do, I will just tell that it's non-color data, and I will use a special node here. It's the normal map here that you will have to put between the two, okay? It transforms the color informations into normal informations. You can see the result here, and it gives quite a nice result here. You can just remove a little if you want with the intensity of it, with the strength. So maybe 0.5 for 0.5 for me will be enough. To see the result really on the geometry, you can remove here the C-Base and go into darker color. Yeah, and here you see really what's happening with the normal map, okay? So without normal map, with the normal map. So it helps really to have something good. I will, increase it to 0.6, I think. So as you can see, it works pretty well. And if you watch after the transparency, you have really something for low poly that works, quite good. So now that we have what we want, we will just put back the color here. But we have two other things to manage. We would like to have something with metallic reflex and specular reflex and some special roughness. So as we want something shiny that really reflects the light, we will remove roughness here. And as you can see directly, you can see the reflex on this. We will increase the metallic as well, at least at 0.8 to see a little the result. So you could keep it like that and it will work. But what I don't like in this kind of shader, it's that all the parts are really shiny. But from another perspective, if you watch the scales of fish, it's shiny only into the top of the scales and not for the rest. So what we can do and what can help here, it's convert the informations here of the color map here and transform it to black and white, as we did try for the bump node here. And after that, we can change it and tweak it here. If you want more white, if you want more black, okay, you do what you want. Or if you want more gray, you transform here the white to gray, and it will change the intensity value. And as always, the white is 1, the black is 0. So if you plug this to the metallic option, all the white parts will be shiny and all the dark parts will be not shiny. And I will make the same thing for the specular as well, okay? Now what you can see is that only some parts will reflect and give this nice, maybe a little more roughness, not a lot, okay? And if you want more black, you can see that only the white part will reflect, and it will give a kind of better result. Maybe I can put it on white to see a little more what's happening. As you can see here, only some parts are reflecting, and it starts to be interesting here. Maybe as it was actually, it wasn't bad. So if you want more more white. You can see that it changed the values as well. But it seems okay for me with what we have, only some little reflections, maybe a little more, but not that much. Good. So now we can plug here the color back, and we have our final shader. You can see that it works pretty well. We have some nice reflects. We have the scales. We can see the scales of the model by turning around, and we can see, yeah, basically everything. So this is the first step of the shading. What we would like to is to create a random color by duplicating the model, because we will duplicate this model a lot. It's not really a duplication, but it will be duplicated by the particle system after. And as we will create a lot of fishes, like 2,000 fishes to make the shoal. So we would like to, when I duplicate this model, so with Shift D, I just make a few duplications. I would like that the shading is not exactly the same from one to another. Like I would like maybe this one to be a little more bluish, or this one a little more yellowish, or whatever. By default, anyway, I found this texture a little too much yellow-green on my opinion. So in my opinion, so what I will do anyway is I would put here a color RGB curves over there. I try to organize a little more. There's things that you can see a little more what's happening. Okay, that it will not make too crazy things. And yeah, maybe I would increase the blue value here over there. And if it becomes a little too red, I come back to the red and remove something more like that, you see. So what I will do, I will make strong values like this. Like this, it will be a big change. And to see the result before and after, what you can do is mute the node that you are using by M with M. So if you use M, before it was like that, and now it's like that. Okay, so you can change from here to another. And now, okay, but it's still exact. I did manage the global, feeling of the texture, but they are still all the same. So what I will do to manage this node, the intensity, the factor of this node, you see that I have a factor value here. I can decrease it or increase it as I want, okay? And me, I would like to use it, to use this factor with a special node that is here, the input, where is it? Object info, it's here. Okay, and you can see that here into this object info node, I have a random factor here. And you can see that it gives different shade of grays between the duplications. Like if I do another duplication and another and another, it will be randomly, from black to white, okay? And all these duplications like this, if I put this random here, over there, and put back my shader on, you can see that now I have different shaders everywhere. And because this puts random information and put it there into the RGB curve. And this RGB curves gives now the information to the principled, and by mixing it with the transparent node, I have everything I want now. Good. So just with two textures, okay, we have already the possibility to do, let's say, more complex shaders, more interesting shaders. And now we have something usable directly. As you can see, we don't have a lot of geometry, but looks pretty nice from far. It's okay. We have, you can just experiment it with the few, the different here scenes that we have directly into Blender. Usually what you can tell, you can focus to directly into with the film transparent option. yeah, it doesn't work with this mode. Yeah. It's only when you have a real HDRI. But here, I mean, just you can tell yourself that if it works more or less with all the ambient scenes, the HDRIs that we have here, if it works with everything, it means that you have a shader that will work. And in that case, it works not bad. So let's come back to this one. And yeah, we will continue the series of this workflow. Into the next video, we will manage two things. We will make the rigging of the fish, and we will make the animation of the fish. So to make swimming cycle, like walk cycle, but with swimming. So it's swim cycle, I guess. So yeah, let's go for that. And into the next video, we will manage this. And after we'll have a final, that will be maybe the creation of the particle system and the compositing and the lighting. Yeah. So we still have some work. We will have 4 videos in the end. So enjoy.